My girlfriend belittled me, claiming her work husband treated her better. So I sent him a thank you gift, and the fallout ended both of their careers. I'm Zach, 29, male, a pretty chill guy. I work in procurement for a hospital system, St. Caden Health. My whole job is literally evaluating vendors, comparing bids, and predicting outcomes. I'm good at spotting red flags in contracts. Turns out I'm an absolute idiot when it comes to spotting them in my own relationship. My girlfriend Audrey and I had been together for 3 years. She was 26, sharp as hell, ambitious. We'd been living together in my condo for the last year. I bought the place before we met and put down the whole down payment myself, but whatever. The first 2 years were actually good. Weekend trips, dinners where we actually talked to each other, meeting each other's families, and pretending to be interested in their boring stories. We were happy. About 8 months ago, she landed this promotion. Patient access lead at this massive hospital system, St. Caden Health, the kind of place that has a corporate handbook thicker than the Bible and takes itself way too seriously. And let me tell you, I was genuinely proud of her. I took her out to celebrate, grab drinks, the whole 9 yards. But that's when things started changing. It started with a name, Grant. At first, it was just normal work talk. You know how it goes when someone starts a new job. They're excited, meeting new people and all that. But with Audrey, it was always Grant this, Grant that. Grant was her new boss, the assistant department manager in patient access, some 40-something dude with the kind of polish that screams I peaked in business school. The frequency was what got me. Like every single day, there was a new Grant story. Grant thinks my ideas for the new intake workflow are brilliant. Grant took the whole team out at the wharf. Grant said my presentation was the best he's seen in years. Look, I'm not some insecure psycho who tracks his girlfriend's every move. I get that work relationships matter, but this felt different. It wasn't just professional respect, it was validation seeking. And about 3 months into the new job, she started with the work husband jokes. At first, honestly, I thought it was kind of funny. My work husband Grant brought me coffee again. Isn't that sweet? I'd laugh it off. She has a broken sense of humor, so I figured it was just her being weird like always. But then it escalated. Grant and I are so in sync it's crazy. We finish each other's sentences. Grant just gets me, you know? We have the same vision. I tried bringing it up once. We were watching Netflix on the couch and she was giggling at her phone for like the 10th time that night. I paused the show. Babe, this whole work husband thing is getting a little weird, don't you think? I mean, he's your boss. She rolled her eyes. Oh my God, Zach. Don't be one of those jealous boyfriends. It's just a joke. Everyone does it. It's networking. You wouldn't understand. You wouldn't understand. I know exactly how networking works, and I know what crosses the line from professional rapport to something else. But I dropped it because that's what you do when you're trying to be the chill boyfriend, right? You give space and trust. But nope. I should have trusted my gut because the late-night texts started ramping up. She'd be in bed next to me, phone screen lighting up her face, typing and smiling. Just work stuff, she'd say. The thing that really started grinding my gears was that she stopped caring about us. Our relationship became background noise to her career advancement. Date nights got rescheduled because Grant needs me to stay late for this rollout. Weekend plans got canceled because the team is doing a strategy retreat and Grant thinks my input is crucial. I'm not saying a partner should always put you first. But there's a difference between supporting someone's ambitions and becoming a piece of furniture in your own relationship. I was turning into the guy who kept the lights on and paid more than half the bills while she emotionally invested somewhere else. But I kept telling myself I was overreacting, that I was being paranoid, that I needed to be supportive. My job is literally procurement. I look at contract patterns all day. And here I was ignoring the clearest pattern of my entire life because I didn't want to be that guy. But then came the dinner, the one that changed everything. Last week, Wednesday night, I took her to this Chinese restaurant she'd been wanting to try for months. Real nice spot. I made the reservation 3 weeks in advance because this place books up fast. I was trying, okay? I was making an effort. We sat down, ordered drinks, and I'm thinking maybe this is it. Maybe this is the night we actually reconnect, have a real conversation, remember why we're together in the first place. Nope. She was on her phone within 5 minutes, smiling at the screen. I'm sitting there like a chump, reading the menu for the 3rd time, pretending I don't notice. Good day at work? I asked, trying to sound casual. Amazing, she said, not looking up. Grant approved my budget for the spring intake rollout, and he bought me lunch again. That's like the third time this week. He's literally the best. I just nodded, took a sip of my drink, reminded myself to stay calm. She finally put her phone down, looked at me across the table with this smirk on her face, and said the words that ended our relationship. Honestly, my work husband is buying me lunch every day. You need to step up, maybe learn from him. She laughed like she'd just made the zinger of the century, just sitting there waiting for me to laugh along or playfully defend myself or whatever reaction she was expecting. I didn't laugh, I just stared at her. And in that moment, I quietly snapped. All the little red flags I'd been ignoring, all the dismissive comments, all the late-night texts, the emotional distance, the constant Grant worship, it all made sense. Here I am working my ass off, paying for more than my share of everything, being supportive of her career, and she's sitting there telling me I need to compete with her boss who's buying her DoorDash. But here's the thing. I didn't get mad. I didn't raise my voice. This relationship was over. It had been over for months. I just hadn't accepted it yet. So I smiled back at her. You're right, I said. That's very generous of him. I should thank him. Her smirk faltered just for a second. What? Don't be weird. No, I'm serious. It's nice to know someone's taking care of you at the office. I'll step up. The rest of dinner was quiet. She went back to her phone. I just ate my food and started planning. When we got home, she went straight to the bedroom. I sat down at my laptop and went to work. 10 minutes. That's all it took. First, I found Grant's full name from Audrey's LinkedIn profile, Grant Stilton. Yeah, like the cheese. Then I found his wife's very public Facebook page. Lots of photos, their 2 kids on a boat, family vacation in the Hamptons, anniversary dinner at some steakhouse. She had her profile completely open, no privacy settings, just broadcasting her whole life to the world, blissfully unaware that her husband was playing house with his employee. But the real gold was the company's code of conduct. Audrey worked for a large hospital system, big, old, established, paranoid about lawsuits and reputation. These organizations have to post their corporate governance policies online. It's public information. So I downloaded their 80-page Code of Conduct and Ethics PDF and skipped straight to the section about workplace relationships. And there it was, clear as day, ironclad. Any romantic or personal relationship between a manager and a direct subordinate represents a critical conflict of interest and is strictly prohibited. Even the appearance of such a relationship may result in an immediate investigation and disciplinary action up to and including termination. Managers are specifically prohibited from providing or receiving excessive personal gifts, benefits, or preferential treatment to or from direct reports, as this creates both ethical violations and potential liability for the organization. I sat back in my chair and just stared at the screen for a minute. This was it. Then I did something petty. I went to Amazon, ordered a $60 DoorDash gift code. Then I found the blandest, most professional-looking thank you card they had. Cream-colored, simple border, the kind of card your aunt sends after you help her move furniture. I paid extra for next-day delivery. When the package arrived, I sat down at my dining room table and wrote in my neatest, most sincere handwriting. Dear Grant, I'm writing to send a small but sincere thank you for all the support you've been giving my girlfriend Audrey. She mentions you all the time, especially how you've been kind enough to buy her lunch almost every day this week. Thanks for taking such good care of her. All the best, Zach Wesley. I tucked the $60 DoorDash code inside, addressed the envelope to Mr. Grant Stilton, Assistant Department Manager, Patient Access, St. Caden Health, Downtown Campus. I put a stamp on it, walked it down to the mailbox on the corner, and dropped it in. The rest of the week was normal. I kept it normal with Audrey, but distant. She didn't notice. She was too busy texting Grant, staying late for strategy sessions, and planning her next big rollout. I went through vendor quotes, came home, made dinner, and watched TV just waiting. Friday afternoon, 2 p.m. I'm at my desk finalizing a vendor comparison for a capital order. My phone buzzes. Missed call, Audrey. Then it buzzes again and again. Text messages start flooding in. Zach, what did you do? I am not kidding. Grant is in a meeting with HR. They called me in. They have your card. Call me now. I read each message, trying not to smile. Then I silenced my phone and put it face down on my desk. I typed out one response, in a deep dive meeting. Can't talk. What's up? I didn't look at my phone again for the rest of the day. I finished my work, double-checked my calculations, sent the comparison packet to my manager, logged off at exactly 5 p.m. I drove home, put on a podcast about economic history. The host was talking about the Dutch tulip bubble. Fascinating stuff. I was calm, like I'd finally done the one thing I should have done months ago. I pulled into my condo complex. Audrey's sedan, the one I stupidly co-signed the loan for, was parked crooked in her spot, half on the line. She'd clearly rushed home. I walked in through the front door. She was standing in the living room in her full uniform, blazer, heels, hair perfect. But her face was pale and blotchy. She'd been crying. The second she saw me, she absolutely lost it. "Zach! Zach! What did you do?" she screamed it. The kind of scream that probably had the neighbors wondering if they should call someone. I just closed the door behind me calmly, hung up my jacket on the hook, and looked at her. "Hi, babe. Rough day?" "Don't rough day me." Her voice was shaking, tears streaming down her face, the angry, panicked kind. I was called into an emergency meeting with HR, our head of HR, Grant, and 2 lawyers on a video call. 2 lawyers, Zach? Oh no, that sounds serious. They had a card, a thank you card from you with a gift card in it. Why would you do that? Why would you send that? I set my keys down on the counter, walked to the fridge, grabbed a drink, then turned back to her and shrugged. "I did what you said. I thanked him. You told me he buys you lunch every day. I was just being polite, showing my appreciation, stepping up like you wanted." "You idiot!" She screamed it so loud her voice cracked, her whole polished corporate mask completely shattered. "You don't do that. You don't send evidence. You don't write it down. He's my manager. It's against policy. They think there's something going on between us." I just looked at her, let the silence hang there for a second. "Is there?" She froze. All the color drained from her face. What are you talking about? Is there something going on? You've been flaunting your work husband in my face and then mocking me for not measuring up. You seemed pretty proud of it, so I agreed with you. I sent a thank you note thanking him for his generosity. What's the problem? I paused, then delivered the kicker. Unless, of course, that generosity is something you both should have been hiding. She couldn't even form words. Her hands were shaking. "You did this on purpose. You're trying to ruin my career." "No, Audrey, you did this. You're the ones who violated company policy. You're the ones who disrespected our relationship. I just turned the light on. What happens next is a direct consequence of your actions." She stared at me. I could see her brain working overtime, trying to play victim. Her face changed. The anger melted into panic, then desperation. "Zach, please. You have to fix this." She stepped toward me. "You have to call them. Call HR. Tell them you're just a clueless boyfriend who misunderstood. Tell them it was innocent. Please, Zach, they suspended me." I raised an eyebrow. "Suspended? Wow. They must take policy violations really seriously." "Zach, please. Full breakdown now. I'm suspended pending investigation. They're reviewing everything. Every email, every text, every meeting." Grant's wife was called. "Do you understand what you've done?" I set my drink down, looked her dead in the eye. "No, I will not be lying to a corporation's legal department for you. You made your choices. Now you get to live with them." I walked past her to the hall closet, pulled out her big suitcase, the one she used for long trips, and set it down in the living room. "What are you doing?" "You need to pack. You're leaving." "Excuse me?" "This is my condo. My name is on the deed. I pay the mortgage. You're not on the lease, so pack your stuff and get out. You can't just kick me out. I live here. Actually, I can. You're not a tenant. You're a guest, and I'm asking you to leave tonight." She completely lost it. Started screaming about how I was ruining her life, how I was a monster, how she'd done nothing wrong, how I was jealous and controlling and manipulative. It went on for probably 20 minutes. I just stood there, arms crossed, letting her get it all out. When she finally ran out of steam, I spoke. "You have 2 options. Pack a bag tonight and leave voluntarily, or I call the police and have them escort you out. Your choice." She stared at me. "I don't have anywhere to go." "Call Lexi." Lexi was her best friend, the one who'd been enabling all of this. "I'm sure she'll let you crash for a while, but you're not staying here. This is insane. You're insane. You're still leaving." She called Lexi. 30 minutes later, her friend showed up in a Tesla, looking at me like I was the Antichrist. I helped them load 2 suitcases into the car, didn't say a word. Then I went back inside, locked the door, and sat down on my couch in complete silence. And for the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. The next morning, I woke up to 20 missed calls and about 40 text messages. Most from Audrey, some from Lexi, a few from numbers I didn't recognize. I ignored all of them. I made coffee, sat on my balcony. I had the whole day to myself. No Grant updates, no late-night work texts, no walking on eggshells around someone who clearly didn't respect me. Monday morning, my phone rang. A number I didn't recognize. Hello, Zach Wesley? Yeah, this is he. This is Olivia from HR at St. Caden Health. I'm calling regarding a situation involving your partner, Audrey Tate. Oh, this should be good. Former partner, we broke up last night. I see. Well, I want to make this very clear. We are not asking you to participate in our internal investigation. However, we did receive your correspondence to Mr. Stilton, and I wanted to clarify a few details for our records. Did you send that card and gift card voluntarily? I did. And you were aware that Miss Tate and Mr. Stilton had a professional relationship? I was aware she described him as her work husband, and that he was buying her lunch frequently. She told me this herself. There was a pause. I could hear typing. I see. And were you aware of any romantic involvement? I couldn't say for certain, but the relationship seemed inappropriate. More typing. Okay. Thank you for your time, Mr. Wesley. This call was simply to verify the origin of the correspondence. You're under no obligation to provide any further information. Understood. Have a good day. I hung up and smiled. They were building their case, and I just confirmed everything they needed to know. 2 days later, Tuesday afternoon, I got a text from an unknown number. This is Edward, Audrey's father. We need to talk. Call me immediately. Edward Tate. I'd met him exactly 3 times in 3 years. Real piece of work. Municipal attorney at the city attorney's office. The kind of guy who name drops his law school in every conversation and acts like he's personally responsible for the entire justice system. He'd made it very clear from day one that I wasn't good enough for his daughter. He wanted her to marry a lawyer or a doctor, someone with real prestige. I didn't call. I texted back, not interested in talking. Have a good day. He called 4 more times. I ignored all of them. Then I got an email from his city office address, professional letterhead and everything. Mr. Wesley, you have created an untenable situation for my daughter through your reckless and malicious actions. Your interference in her professional life constitutes harassment and has caused significant damages to her career and reputation. We demand you immediately contact St. Caden Health and retract your correspondence. Failure to do so will result in legal action. We expect your response within 48 hours. Edward Tate, Esquire. I read it twice, then forwarded it to someone I should have called a week ago. My buddy Jared from college is a contract lawyer. He does boring corporate contract disputes, employment law, liability stuff, but he's sharp as hell and he owes me a favor from when I helped him move last year. I called him. Jared, I need advice and maybe representation. Oh, what did you do? I sent a thank you card. You what? I explained the whole situation. Jared was quiet for a minute, then he started laughing. Dude, this is the pettiest, most brilliant thing I've ever heard, and legally speaking, you didn't do anything wrong. That's what I figured. No, seriously, that's not harassment. That's just accurate documentation. If their relationship was inappropriate, that's on them, not you. So the dad's threat is BS, completely. But let me write a response. Don't engage with him directly. Let me handle it. 2 days later, Jared sent me a draft of his response letter. It was a thing of beauty. It basically said, your client's employment issues are a direct result of her own conduct and her employer's policies. My client sent a factual, polite thank you note. If that note caused problems, it's because the conduct it referenced was problematic. Any further threats will be considered harassment, and we will pursue sanctions against your office. He sent it certified mail to Edward's office. We didn't hear a peep after that. But the real chaos was just getting started. About a week after I kicked Audrey out, I started getting Facebook messages from people I barely knew. Audrey's friends, her college roommates, some cousins, all of them telling me what a terrible person I was, how I'd destroyed her life over nothing, how I was jealous and controlling, how I should be ashamed. I blocked every single one of them without responding. Then I got a message from Lexi, the best friend who'd picked her up that night. You're a coward and a narcissist. Audrey is going through hell because of you. Grant was just being a good mentor. You twisted it into something it wasn't because you're insecure. She deserves better. I stared at that message for a minute. Then I typed out a response. Grant is a 40-year-old married man who is buying daily lunches for his 26-year-old direct report and allowing her to call him her work husband. If that's mentorship, then I'm the Pope. I hit send. Then I blocked her too. The flying monkeys kept coming for a few days. Then they stopped. I assume Audrey told them to back off, or maybe they realized I wasn't going to engage. Either way, the noise died down. But the financial stuff was about to get messy. Remember that car I mentioned? The luxury sedan I stupidly co-signed for? Yeah, that became a problem. About 2 weeks after the breakup, I got a call from the dealership. Audrey had missed her payment. As the CO signer, I was now responsible. I called her. First time we'd spoken since she left. You missed your car payment. I don't have a job, Zach. In case you forgot, you destroyed my career. That's not my problem. You need to make your car payment, or I'm reporting the vehicle for voluntary repossession. You wouldn't. Watch me. I gave her 48 hours. She didn't pay. I called the finance company and initiated a voluntary repo, told them where the car was parked at Lexi's apartment complex, gave them the details, and walked away. 3 days later, a tow truck showed up and took it. Audrey called me screaming about how I'd stolen her car. It's not your car, it's the bank's car. You stopped paying for it. That's how financing works. She hung up on me. A week later, I got another email from Edward. This one was even more ridiculous than the first. Mr. Wesley, your continued harassment of my daughter has escalated to theft and financial sabotage. You have stolen her vehicle and destroyed her means of employment. We are prepared to file suit for $25,000 in damages. You have 72 hours to return the vehicle and provide compensation, or we will proceed with legal action. I forwarded it to Jared. He called me immediately, laughing so hard he could barely talk. This guy is either an idiot or desperate. You can't steal a car that's being repossessed for non-payment, and $25,000 in damages for what? Her imaginary suffering? So what do we do? Jared's response was another masterpiece. It outlined how I had no legal obligation to pay Audrey's car payment, how voluntary repossession is a standard financial remedy for default, and how any lawsuit would be immediately dismissed with potential sanctions for bringing a frivolous claim. He sent it certified mail. We never heard from Edward Tate again. I thought the drama was over. I really did. Audrey was gone. The legal threats had evaporated. I was finally starting to feel normal again. I deep cleaned the whole condo, sold some furniture that we'd bought together, replaced it with stuff that was actually my style. I even started dating again. Nothing serious, just coffee dates here and there, testing the waters, but Audrey had one more move left. It was a Saturday morning about 3 weeks after the breakup. I was in the kitchen making breakfast, scrambled eggs, bacon, toast. My buddy Dave was coming over later to watch football. Life was good. Then there was a knock on my door. Loud. I looked through the peephole. A police officer standing on my doorstep. My heart dropped into my stomach. What the heck? I opened the door. Can I help you, officer? Are you Zach Wesley? Yes. I'm here to conduct a civil standby. Miss Audrey Tate is here to retrieve her personal property. She's expressed concern that you won't allow her access. I looked past him, and there she was, standing on the sidewalk, smirking, and next to her, Edward, looking like he was about to foreclose on my soul. This was their big play. Use the cops to intimidate me, force a confrontation. But here's the thing, I'd been preparing for this. Oh, absolutely, officer, I'm happy to help. I kept my voice calm and friendly. I've actually had all of her belongings boxed up and ready for weeks. She just never arranged a time to pick them up. I opened the door wider. Right there in my foyer were 12 neatly taped cardboard boxes, labeled, organized, stacked perfectly. I'd spent an entire weekend going through the condo, collecting every single thing that belonged to her. The officer looked at the boxes, then back at me, then at Audrey. Okay, ma'am, you can come retrieve your boxes. Audrey's smirk vanished. This wasn't the plan. She wanted a scene. She wanted to rifle through my stuff, accuse me of hiding things, make a spectacle. But of course, she couldn't let it go. That's not everything, she said, walking up the pathway. Her voice had that sharp edge. My most valuable things are still in there. He's withholding them. The officer looked at me. I could see the skepticism in his eyes. Sir, officer, every single thing she owns is in those boxes. I was very thorough. I even packed stuff I wasn't sure belonged to her just to be safe. He's lying, Audrey interrupted, her voice getting louder. My grandmother's antique writing desk is in the study. It's a priceless family heirloom. It's worth thousands. He's keeping it on purpose. Edward stepped forward. Officer, my daughter is correct. This man is holding valuable property belonging to our family, property that has been passed down for generations. We demand access to retrieve it. I looked at the officer, then back at Audrey and her dad. This was their nuclear option. Claim I was keeping some priceless heirloom. Make it sound like theft. Get the cop on their side. But I was ready. Officer, are they referring to the 1920s mahogany desk in the study? Yes, Audrey practically shouted. My desk. The one I bought at Oak and Iron Resale in August 2023? Silence. I pulled out my phone, went to my email, searched antique desk receipt, found it, handed my phone to the officer. Here's the credit card receipt. $1,500 from Oak and Iron Resale. My name, my card, purchased for the condo. Not an heirloom, not hers. The officer read the receipt. His entire demeanor changed. He knew exactly what this was, a bitter ex. He handed my phone back. Ma'am, he said, his voice flat and done. This is a civil dispute. Ownership of gifts is for a judge to decide. I'm not going to breach the peace over a desk. My job here is to make sure you get your personal property and leave peacefully. So take your boxes, ma'am. Edward started to bluster. Officer, I don't think you understand who I am. I'm an attorney. And sir, the officer cut him off, voice cold. Understand you're a citizen who needs to stay on the sidewalk while your daughter gets her boxes. Edward's face turned purple like he was about to have a stroke, but they didn't have a choice. For the next 20 minutes, I stood in my doorway and watched Audrey and her father in silence load box after box of her stuff into the back of his Mercedes. The officer stood there the whole time, making sure nobody started anything. When they finally got everything loaded, Audrey turned around, one last attempt to get the final word to twist the knife. You will regret this for the rest of your life, Zach. I just looked at her. I already regret the last 3 years, Audrey, but I'm feeling better about the future. I nodded to the officer. Thanks for your time, officer. He tipped his cap. Have a good day, sir. I shut the door, locked it. Then I actually laughed. They tried to corner me, use the police, make it look like I was the villain. And it backfired so spectacularly that they had to slink away with boxes of shoes while a cop made sure they behaved. I sat down on my couch, cracked open a drink, and turned on the game. The weeks after the civil standby were quiet, almost eerily quiet. No more texts from Audrey, no more angry messages from her friends, no more legal threats from Edward. It was like they'd all finally realized they had no leverage, no case, and no leg to stand on. But I was curious. I'm not going to lie, I wanted to know how this all played out for them. So I kept my ear to the ground. I had one mutual friend, this guy Luke, who I'd grab drinks with occasionally. He was friendly with both of us but stayed neutral during the breakup. Over drinks one night I asked, so, how bad is it? Luke just shook his head. Dude, it's bad. Apparently the HR investigation at St. Caden Health had gone full nuclear. They'd pulled every email, every text, every calendar invite between Grant and Audrey. And what they found was damning. Not quite a smoking gun of a physical affair, but enough emotional entanglement and policy violations to justify termination. Grant got fired first. Immediate termination, no severance, just a box with his personal items and an escort out of the building. His wife found out everything. The lunches, the texts, the work-wife comments. She filed for divorce within a week. According to Luke, who heard it through the office grapevine, Grant's divorce was brutal. His wife took him to the absolute cleaners. She got the house, the boat, primary custody of the kids. He's apparently living in some depressing rental apartment now, and still working in healthcare administration, but at a way lower position at a competing hospital system. Total career collapse. As for Audrey, she got fired too, 2 weeks after Grant. They dragged it out just long enough to make her sweat. The official reason was violation of company ethics policy and conduct unbecoming of an employee. It's the kind of termination that shows up on background checks. After I kicked her out, she stayed with Lexi. That lasted about 6 weeks. And according to Luke, it was a disaster. See, Audrey had gotten used to a certain lifestyle. My lifestyle. I made good money. I paid for most things without making a big deal about it. She got comfortable, expected it. When she moved in with Lexi, she apparently assumed it would be the same deal. Free rent, free food, just a temporary stopover until she landed her next big opportunity. But Lexi had her own life, and she wasn't about to become Audrey's new provider. Audrey paid no rent, ate all the groceries, never cleaned, just sat around job hunting and complaining about how unfair everything was, how she was the victim, how I'd ruined her life, how Grant had thrown her under the bus. Lexi finally snapped, told her she had 2 weeks to find somewhere else to live. Audrey called her a terrible friend, said she was being unsupportive during a crisis. Lexi told her to get the heck out. With no job, no car, thanks to the repo, and no friends willing to take her in, Audrey had one option left. She moved back home to her parents' house in her hometown, the place she'd spent her entire 20s trying to escape. Luke had heard through the grapevine that Edward was pissed, not at Audrey for the cheating or the policy violations, no. He was mad about the embarrassment. His daughter got fired from a prestigious hospital system for an ethics violation. His legal threats got swatted down by a contract lawyer. His big intimidation play with the police backfired. His reputation as this big-shot lawyer took a hit because people in their social circle found out his daughter couldn't keep her personal and professional life separate. Audrey's currently working an entry-level front desk job at a local orthopedic clinic in her hometown. The kind of job she had right out of college, answering phones, filing paperwork, making $15 an hour. No more corporate lunches, no more fancy dinners, no more work husband buying her DoorDash. The luxury life is gone. Meanwhile, I'm doing fine. Actually, better than fine. The credit hit from the car repo sucked. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. My score dropped about 90 points. I'm fighting it, disputing it, providing documentation that I wasn't in possession of the vehicle and that the CO signer defaulted. Jared says it's a long, annoying process, but one I'll eventually win. It's the price of getting someone toxic out of my life. Honestly, worth it. I sold that stupid antique desk, got $1,800 for it, used the money to pay Jared for his legal work, and took a long weekend trip to Colorado, went camping. No phone service, just me, the mountains, and the realization that I dodged a massive bullet. It's been about 6 months since I sent that card. Half a year since the dinner where Audrey told me to step up. Wild how fast your life can change when you stop accepting disrespect. I don't think about her much anymore. I ran into Luke a few weeks ago. We met up like usual and he gave me an update without me even asking. I guess Audrey's still at that admin job in her hometown, still living with her parents, still bitter. She's apparently on dating apps now, but not having much luck. Turns out when you lead with my ex ruined my life, guys tend to swipe left. Grant's divorce is finalized. His ex-wife got everything, the house, the boat, the kids, and a hefty alimony payment. He's apparently working for some small regional hospital system, making a fraction of what he used to. Nobody in the local healthcare scene trusts him anymore. His LinkedIn is set to private. Edward Tate, Esquire, hasn't reached out again. I assume he's still nursing his bruised ego somewhere. Maybe he tells people at cocktail parties that his daughter's ex was unstable or whatever helps him sleep at night. As for me, I'm good. Really, actually good. I've been seeing this girl Elena for 5 months now. We just got back from a weekend trip to Asheville. She wanted to check out some botanical gardens for a project she's working on. We spent the whole day walking around and she'd point out plants and design choices and why certain spaces worked. I had no idea landscape architecture was so complex. It was actually fascinating. The credit thing is still being worked out. Jared's still fighting the dispute. He says we're making progress, but these things take forever. It'll probably take another 6 months to fully resolve, but it's whatever. It's fixable. Everything is fixable. People ask me sometimes if I regret sending the card, if I should have just broken up with her like a normal person and moved on. And here's the thing. I don't. Not even a little bit.